Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
With the sun and it burns until the day is done.
All right, 24 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's Friday, and you hear that beautiful music right there. By the way, those guys are the Blue Jays band, and they're actually coming into the studio at 11:05 today. They're warming up, or opening up, I guess you would say, for Sister Hazel. Is that tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow's their show. Okay. Right now, it is time for Horse Sensed, brought to you by the Equine Alliance of Marion County. Tammy Gant is here from the Florida Thoroughbred Breeders and Owners Association. Did I get that right, Tammy?
Yeah.
Barbara Fidos is here. She's with the Community Foundation, and Dory Morgan with Farm Credit. Ladies, good morning to all of you. Thank you for coming. How's everybody doing today?
Good morning. We're doing well. Thanks for asking.
And today is just, and you don't have to play alone, but today is speaking the third person day. So if you want to refer to yourself by your name rather than I, say, Larry wants you to do this. See?
It is.
Yeah.
Tammy will do that for you.
This is another one of those holiday type.
It's a crazy thing.
Okay.
It's the National Coalition of the Advancement of Literacy. They want people to understand certain things about the language.
So we pass the test then, maybe.
You do it.
Or Tammy and Dory and Barbara pass the test.
You certainly do. So far. And you've got some cute stuffed horses, toys.
Yes, we do. We're here with the Marion County Equine Alliance, and here on the Horse Sense Show today. We're very excited because we talk about horses, so we decided we would bring these fellas in, and then maybe eventually we'll sneak in a real one at some point.
And by the way, last week's big marathon show was very fun to listen to, and hopefully it was a big hit for you guys.
I think it was an awesome hit. They had outstanding crowds. I think a lot because of the Budweiser Clydesdales being there, of course, was a real treat.
Well, that's the celebrity in the horse world, isn't it?
That is,
Yeah.
yep.
The Clydesdales and any horse that has won a race is always a celebrity, right?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. We had this that same day, because of the theme. We had a horse theme last week, and so we had this trivia about horse movies, and it was interesting how many horse movies have had horses from Florida, from Marion County.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Secretariat was one of them, right?
Obviously, yep.
Yeah. So just.
And there were 12 Seabiscuits, so a few of those were based in Florida, some of those horses. Because there's some of the best movie horse trainers in the area, not just in the West like you would think. Originally, a lot of them were from the West because of the Westerns, and then it changed over. So now there's a lot of people here that do train horses for different types of performances, and so those end up in the movies, of course.
That's interesting. Yeah, who knew, right?
Yeah, who knew?
All right. I don't want to take your time. You've got a lot you want to talk about, and when we get to the dolls, if you could lift it up a little bit, because the camera. There you go. There's one.
He's ready to go today.
So what are we talking about today? What do you want? You want to kick it off?
I think Dory wanted to talk a little bit about some upcoming events, and then I'll talk a little bit about some upcoming events, and maybe we'll wrap up some that just happened. That's very exciting. Couple months here in Marion County.
Okay.
Yeah, things are starting to wind down, but this weekend at the Florida Horse Park, we have the Pleasure Driving Show, which is another driving show, but a whole totally different format. Tone it down, slow it down. Pleasure driving is now they're going to be judged on the reinsmanship, how the horses go, so it's a much slower pace. They do have a cones class, which is a little fast, but it's all takes place in an arena. But the nice thing for the public to come out and watch is to see the various turnouts of the horses. You're going to see a variety of horse breeds, but the carriages and the outfits is what you're going to see on Saturday and Sunday at the horse park. And along with that, of course, horses and dogs go totally together. Every horse person has a dog. They have the sight hound dog competition. These are sight hounds like your wolfhounds, your Afghans, your whippets. These are dogs that hunt by sight, and they will also be competing at the horse park on the same day. and you'll see lure coursing. So there's a little variety of things to see at the horse park this weekend. So
Wow, and the dogs bond with the horses as.
oh, obviously,
Yeah,
yes, yeah. Like I say, every horse farm has several dogs. You can't just have one. It's like potato chips. You got to have more than one.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. And do they actually help with the work that needs to be done?
Some of them do.
Yeah.
Obviously, your cattle ranches, you will see the dogs. I mean, I had to stop this the other morning before I came to work just to watch my neighbor watching the dogs work the cattle. I mean, the cowboys could not work their cattle without those dogs on the ground, rounding them up, keeping them in a tight pack. Same thing with the sheep dogs. I mean, it's fascinating to watch the working relationship, and it's just natural for them.
And and I know this is more about horses than dogs, but one more dog question: does one breed serve better than another?
Oh yeah, you have your herding group, and those are the groups that typically your horse farm people like for herding the animals. But then you also have like your terrier group. They're great for finding rats and rodents in the barn. And so,
really? That's amazing. Isn't it?
So each dog has its own purpose, and each farm will find a reason to have a particular breed typically.
Oh, interesting.
But we all have several.
Yeah, and it does really tie into the horses because a lot of thoroughbreds, being that I'm with FTBOA, of course, I'll talk a little about thoroughbreds, but there have been many famous thoroughbreds that have had friends that were, either a dog, a cat, a goat, that really calmed them down and were like their stable companion, because horses by nature are herd animals. And so, again, that natural relationship between the dog and the horse, or a cat and a horse, and people find that a little surprising because in the wild that would be a prey-predator situation, but the domesticated dog gets along very well with horses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I have a question about a guy like me. I don't have any place in my place to put a horse. Could I own a horse and keep it at another location? And is that a dumb question?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
It's called boarding. It depends on what kind of horse you want. Is this going to be a horse that's a pet that you're going to board and go ride and brush and take care of? Or racehorses. Most your racehorse owners do not have the racehorses on their farm. They're at another location.
But does the horse get to know me?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Unless you never show up.
If I never show up, obviously.
It's not going to know you.
But
Be surprised, the horse will know your car when you pull up. A lot of times they'll come to the fence because they know that you are theirs. They understand that the kind of who's theirs, if they will, because they have a big sense about that. But my horses will be at the fence before my car arrives. They'll hear the car and know the sound and know that's going to be me coming. And they have a very good sense of smell, so they say that horses sometimes can know by the smells of what you're wearing or whatever that it's their master, if you will. And what's interesting is that there are people that board horses and maybe they don't have time to go feed them, so then they can get what's called full board, where the actual caretaker feeds them, takes care of everything, so you just come out and have those enjoyable moments with your horse. So you're not scooping the manure, you don't have to brush them and groom them and all that. But what you find is most horse owners prefer to do all of those things with their horse because it's a wonderful bonding opportunity. Yeah. And the horse really enjoys being around you when you're doing those simple things like brushing them, picking their hooves, or even if they're out in the pasture, you'll find your horses will gravitate toward you while you're working in the barn. So it becomes a very enjoyable moment for both parties. So some people don't have the time, so they pay the full board, but others will pay partial board, which means the horse is turned in, turned out, and he's taken care of when you're not available. But then when you're out there, you're able to go and ride them and do whatever it is you want to do with your horse.
One of the mission statements, if you will, that I gathered was the whole point of the show was to educate the rest of us about
Absolutely,
about the horses. And I'm wondering how many people are like me, where you've thought about it, but how would you ever own a horse? Because you don't own a ranch, you don't own enough property. But you've told me enough today to make me realize that if I did own a horse, I would have a lonely horse. A horse wants to have other horses around, right?
Yes, they do they like that bonding, that herd instinct. And again, that's why we mentioned some farms, they don't have maybe enough area to have more horses, so they have that goat, that chicken, that dog, cat that becomes a companion to the horse.
Does the chicken qualify?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, actually, one of my horses had a rooster that was his friend named Russo. And if Russo didn't go in the stall and roost at night with him, the horse would pace around until he saw Russo come in at night. So the horses can bond with any type of animal, even an outdoor animal like a deer, especially if they're in a rural place. Sometimes they'll bond with actually a wild animal.
Do they mourn when they die?
I believe
Yeah?
that they do. I
do.
believe that horses, I actually have a horse that is living in South Florida and not here because he bonded with a very old mare, and he had only been around her 2 years, and I took him out riding, and every time I came back, he was very sad and she was very sad. Like they missed the moment that they weren't together. So I couldn't bear to split them up, and I do believe that the horses cry. And now when she sees me come to the farm, and I don't see him for a couple months at a time, and I go to South Florida, when I see them together, she sees me, and she's very leery of me because she's afraid I'm going to take him away, and you can see her be very possessive of him, and you can see the bond that
wow.
they have. So I truly believe that the animals have that sense and that feeling,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
and you don't really see it when you see a horse out in a pasture. It's that relationship, like you said, when a person that doesn't know horses begins to learn about them and be on a farm with them and
Oh, wow.
see how they react to things.
Do you know,
Do you agree? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I split up a pair of horses once, and I always regretted it. There was a sadness
Really?
there. Yeah.
Do you know, this is going to sound weird, but I babysat a dog for 8 years. I babysat it for the rest of its life. In other words, somebody brought the dog over and said, can you watch the dog for a couple months? And well, 8 years later, the dog died. So I literally had the dog for 8 years. The dog never felt, I got the feeling the dog never considered my home. I got the feeling that, because I have another dog, so my dog was home, that dog was visiting the entire 8 years. And I think maybe that's how I can relate to what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, dogs, horses, they all have the same feelings, passions. I mean, there's no
So now,
difference.
if I was to try to analyze it, and I don't know that I would be accurate, but I would say if you're with a pet or with an animal from the day it's born, you might be more likely to have it bond with you. So are you ever with your horses from the day they're born? Any of you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah?
My childhood horse, I actually foaled him. You know, he was out in the pasture during the day and no one was home, and I was only 11 years old. But I knew and had read about the moment it was going to happen. Mainly horses have their foals at night. Again, that whole being able to hide from a predator if they were in the wild. So my mare decided that, nope, we're going to have my baby right here at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was the only person that happened to be there because everyone else was out on the farm.
Oh, wow.
And so by the time everyone arrived, I had foaled my baby. So I had him, and he's over 30 years old now, and it's amazing. It's really amazing because
So
of
you've
the
got a
bond.
very good bond with that horse.
But you can bond, and a horse will bond with you over a moment. They're very smart, and they can bond over a moment. So even if you have a horse when he's 4 or 5 years old, you can still have that moment with them where you make that connection with them. And it's really about how you feel with them. Maybe your other dog made that dog that you're caring for not realize, hey, I'm kind of the guy in the house and you're the secondary. So sometimes horses will do that, but again, I find horses very easy to bond with.
Oh, wow. And do their personalities vary from breed to breed?
Oh, absolutely. I've had many, many breeds, and they're just like dogs. They're all very different. And within the breed, of course, you have a variety of personalities, just like people.
So what is the breed, what is the personality in general of a fill in the blank, of a thoroughbred?
I think a thoroughbred, I compare him to a golden retriever. You know, he's like kind of high-strung at times if he doesn't get his ball, if you will. But I think that they're very alert to their environment, and so they can go from what I say 0 to 60 in a matter of moments. So if something is new or unusual to them, it can get them kind of worked up and excited. But on the other hand, that also is what provides with them that competitive spirit. They enjoy running. They like to run. They like competition for the most part. Again, just like people, you breed a thoroughbred.
So
and
they
maybe
realize they're
he doesn't
competing,
want to
huh?
run. Yeah, I
It's natural for them. You can watch them from the day they're born out there in competition, running in the property.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that a cool sight, though, to see
Yeah.
horses running?
I mean, it's just like dogs. I mean, you got dogs, you could see it at a young age. A retriever puppy is going to retrieve a ball at 6 weeks old. Thoroughbreds are going to be running, chasing, trying to be in front from the time they are born. It's just natural.
And then you have a breed like an Arabian, which one of our sponsors of the show is with the Arabian breed. And what's interesting about Arabian, they like to show off. You know, they like to prance and I'm pretty and look at me.
Are
and
they the Paris Hiltons of the horse world?
Yes. But there's some substance behind that. They're one of the original breeds that created the other breeds. And the Arabian horse is one of the oldest breeds. They also, though, it isn't just show. They're endurance horses and they're all around competition. But when you first see them, the first thought in your mind is, wow, this horse is showing off and how beautiful they are, because they've got the arched neck and the beautiful, beautiful dish face, a very petite type face, and then they always have their tails up in the air. And there's just something very romantic about watching that type of horse.
Yeah, we've had the opportunity to be out at Mr. Hennessy's farm any number of times, and it is just remarkable. Those horses are very social, and they're social because of the way Mr. Hennessy handles them, because he's there every morning with them, and they're extraordinarily social. But you are absolutely right, Tammy, because when they do the demonstration rings and whatnot, especially the younger horses, they'll come out and they're so gorgeous, and they're ready to do their thing, and the trainers are trying to work with them, and all of a sudden they stop dead and they look around and say, "Oh, there's people here," and then they go up to the fence lines and see all the people, and they just visit. We were visiting one year when all of the foals were there, and so we were visiting with the mares and the foals and just seeing all the babies and whatnot. And several of the horses at the far end of the barn, at the stable where they did not have babies, and all of a sudden you hear these whinnying sounds coming from that end of the barn, and they have their heads out and going, "Hello, we're down here, come visit us." And it was really, really something, but it was tangible. And I'm not a horse person, didn't grow up around horses, but that is one of the most remarkable experiences, to see that very, very social, the socialization. And if you go back to the Budweiser commercial at the Super Bowl with the little puppy and the Clydesdale, I think that said more than it was really cute and it was adorable and all of that, but it really said something about that bonding, because that really happens. Really happens.
And I think she mentioned Frank, and I know we have to get to our sponsors and a couple of other events coming up, but one of the things I will kind of leave us with a little bit on this topic is Frank told me a story recently, and he's with the Hennessy Arabians and also our sponsors, one of the Arabian farms, but he told a story where they interacted with some mentally challenged children and some physically challenged folks, and the Arabian horses were brought out to meet everyone, and it was amazing. He said the sympathy that you see when you talked about the sympathy of a horse, and do they understand, and are they sad or happy? These horses bonding with these people was the most amazing thing, because each person had this joy that came about them, and the horse really identified with it. And the people watching this were just as emotional as the moment where the horse and each person was meeting, and it helped them kind of just feel differently about their day, and also again, that bond was just made immediately. And so I think that there's a bigger, greater thing than just saying there's a horse out in the pasture, there's a horse that runs, there's a horse that you can have a connection with as a person that's never met one before.
Wow.
And so I'd like to, I think we've got our list of sponsors. We don't want to be remiss and not mention them, and then a couple upcoming events. So I think Barbara's got our...
Thank you. I have the honor of talking about our sponsors today, and it's very, very good. Tammy mentioned that we are very proud to have Elmara Arabians as one of our sponsors. FTBOA, of course, is one of our premier sponsors as well, including Infinite Natural Day Spa, and they are a wonderful, wonderful spa that does even equine massages and things all related to equine as well. They're located right off the square in downtown Ocala, and the lovely owners were out at Live Oak last week for the live remote that we did out there, and have just been very, very, very engaged with us in terms of promoting what their services can do, not only for the regular business community, but also for the equine community as well. So we're very pleased to have them with us. And of course, we have the wonderful DeMarcos, who are Lou and Lydia, wonderful photographers who have just embraced what we're trying to accomplish with the Equine Alliance. They've been at all of our events doing some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful equine photography. So we're very honored to have them with us as well. And we want to talk about also our Equine Alliance logo contest, which is underway right now. We have just put out a call to artists through Marion Cultural Alliance. So we are going to have the community design the logo for the Equine Alliance, which I think is very, very fitting in terms of playing that role as connector. So that's a really, really, really fabulous thing that we're doing. So, and we are going to be very pleased to announce we have another new sponsor coming on board next week, and we'll have all of that to share with you next week. So stay tuned.
And then I'll add to a little bit of what Barbara's saying is there are a couple events coming up that's with the Equine Alliance, and one is our Horse Sense, it's our Power Lunch, and that's going to be on April 23rd from 12 to 2 on the OBS sales grounds. And for more information, they can call actually the FTBOA office is 352-629-2160. Again, that's 629-2160. And the Power Lunch is designed for business leaders that want to learn more about how the horse sale works. There was $37.8 million that changed hands at the last sale in March. It was a record sale, and so a lot of people just want to learn a little bit of how the sale works and how they can make a business opportunity out of it. And so that'll be the opportunity there. We also have coming up with the Florida Thoroughbred Breeders and Owners Association a business leaders bus trip to Tampa where you get to go to the Florida Cup. That's next Saturday, April 5th. So if someone has interest in being on that bus and enjoying learning about the horse industry and a wonderful day at the races at Tampa and seeing our wonderful Florida breds run it out there, and some of those horses are contenders for the Kentucky Derby, it's a wonderful time next Saturday, and the bus leaves from our office at 8, but you want to get on the bus. To do that, you want to call, again, that number 629-2160. And also, just a little teaser, there is some Derby happenings on the first Saturday in May 3rd. And so there is a Derby Day party planned with the FTBOA and the Ocala Hilton. And also there will be a Derby Day 5K run. One's been set up over at the Florida Horse Park, which has a number of other events. And again, for more information, go to the Horse Sense website or, again, call the number 629-2160.
And is the run a fundraiser?
The run actually, I believe, has a fundraiser element. I don't know all of the details because it was just released, but I did see their shirt. It is amazing. It's like a black long runner shirt. You look kind of very serious, like an Olympian in it. And so even if you can't finish the run, you at least look the part.
You look good, yeah.
And it has a big Derby logo on it. So again, carrying through that horse theme through our community. It's the 5K on Derby Day, and then again the Derby party in the afternoon, which has a hat contest, and you get to watch the races, learn about the Florida bred connection to the races, and it's a really, really fun event in the evening there at the Hilton.
So the Derby is often called the Run for the Roses, right?
It is. So there are a lot of roses at both of these events. Yes.
So if the fundraiser was for the horse, something horse related, you could say Run for the Horses in the 5K.
Maybe they do
run for the horses or something. I don't know what it would be.
Yeah.
So those events. How much is it to do the bus ride and all that?
The bus ride is actually complimentary for business leaders, and
Wow.
so it's one of the few things you can do that's free. And it includes, it's a wonderful bus ride over, includes a buffet lunch, includes the 101 instruction of what's happening at the races, and then we have a wonderful trivia contest on the bus ride. So it doesn't feel very far to Tampa when you're playing a trivia.
Right.
It's history of Marion
Better than
County.
bottles of beer on the wall, right?
Exactly. We'd like people to get to the races and actually enjoy them versus take a nap. So, and then they get to experience the whole day. There's probably, when we arrived there, about 400 or 500 people in the tented area that we're in. So it's a nice spirit, and you're rail side, so you get to see the horses be saddled and really understand the whole race day as it plays out. You get to meet jockeys, and one lucky group from the bus gets to go in the winner's circle and present one of the trophies for one of the major races.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it's very fun.
I'm more interested in the horses because I'm an animal lover, so it's cool. I love hearing the stories about the horses and the bonding and all that. But there's that whole other part of the population that likes the gambling part. They like watching. It's a very competitive thing for them, especially if they're putting money on it. So, and this is maybe a dumb question, but at the races you're talking about, you can bet, right?
Yeah, at Tampa Bay Downs, you can bet if you'd like. And what happens is they do give you a $2 voucher, so you have an opportunity to learn how to do that. And we find our spectators, some just want to go and see those horses close up and watch, and then maybe they'll cheer for a horse, and then every once in a while they might bet $2, $10 on one just to see. And then you see that competitives come out where they're really cheering on their horse then because they have a couple dollars on him to win. But a lot of folks will just come out and have a wonderful it's a family atmosphere.
Very family atmosphere. It's always a beautiful day down there on the Florida Cup.
So you'll all be there, all.
Absolutely.
It is. You are accomplishing a goal of getting us interested in what you do on a daily basis, and your industry is what made Marion County famous. What made Marion County the horse capital of the world, and a lot of people know that, but they don't know anything other than that, and we feel sometimes like separated from you. So you're bringing us together with the
Well,
show.
we're trying, and like I say, many people know that it's horse capital, but they don't know what all that means. They just know,
Right,
oh yeah,
right.
we're horse capital, we have a lot of horses, but all the things that go involved on it on a daily basis, that's what we're trying to get across, and how broad this is. I mean, with hits just ending, I mean, we had people here that flew in with their horses from Europe, from California. I mean, that is huge for this county in the number of people that came here, not only to compete, but to watch.
Yeah.
And just a big number. Of course, now that the season's winding down for all the horse shows, you're going to see less traffic on the road. That's kind of a good thing, but it does crowd up our restaurants and our traffic and our malls.
We have a veterinarian he's one of the guys that's on The View all the time. I don't watch The View, so but I've never seen him. So but we speak to him all the time. So he had a daughter that was in hits. So he was coming to Ocala
Yeah.
to watch his daughter riding in the event. So that was kind of exciting.
Same thing with the horse sales. Over 40 states are represented at the horse sales annually here with the 6 different sales. And then we say the season's winding down. It is and it isn't in a way, because now we're headed into the trail of the Triple Crown, the Run for the Roses, the Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont. While they don't happen here, we follow them closely because number of those contenders train here in our county. And then what's interesting too is just yesterday I was down at the Villages and polo began. So polo is on, just kicked off yesterday. Nice people were out there at 6 a.m. walking, and by the afternoon the grounds were full with folks watching the polo play. So a horse event is always happening somewhere in Ocala, somewhere in Marion County, and somewhere in Central Florida at any given day.
And before we say goodbye, remind us what those dolls are for, the plush horses that you have here?
These are actually just representing the horse because we couldn't bring live horses in. We decided to bring them in. But who knows, maybe one of the logo contest winners might have their choice of either one, our little Pinto or our little Bay today.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay.
So these are incentive for all you creative types out there.
And stay tuned next week. We will be featuring Frank Hennessy from Hennessy Arabians. He will be bringing with him his wonderful farm manager, George Z. And George Z has an unpronounceable last name. So he goes by Z.
Gotcha.
And he's also bringing with him Perry and Mike Wilson, who are also breeders and owners. So we'll have all things Arabian on the show next week.
Nice. A couple of years ago, I had the honor to be the winner of the Kiss the Horse competition.
And it was at Hennessy Arabians,
and Karen Hill from the Marion County Literacy Council teases me all the time that I look scared to kiss that horse.
Maybe the horse is scared to kiss you.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised at that. Thank you for coming in. Tammy Gann, thank you for being here. Dory Morgan, always good to see you. And Barbara Feito, same. Thank you, ladies, for coming in and for giving the horse industry a friendly face and a very welcoming personality.
Thank you.
We have 2 horses today that want to kiss you.
Wow. I never knew that was going to be. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. We will take a little break. Ocala Magazine Radio coming up next.
I'm a different breed. Come on, follow me. We'll make it through.
Ocala's information station, 1370 W.